Hi, my name is Luis. I am an astrophotographer. Today's date is August 30, 2025. The time is 6:35 a.m. In today's topic, I will show you some pictures that I took on a NexStar8SE with a mount adding a wedge on it. Once I got the wedge, I start taking pictures of course, of planets, the moon, and some deep sky objects using this equipment. And I want to show you the experience that I had. This is based on the record that I have on Facebook when I started posting the pictures and the works. A total of about 15 months, starting between 2021 to 2022, somewhere there. That's the range there. Starting from scratch, of course. That way you get some tips from my experience for those interested on execute this dream or journey on astrophotography. So to start, let's see the first picture. This is during that time in January 2022, I had a soft dew shield. I got the NexStar right there, NexStar8SE, the wedge and the mount and the computer. I was using different cameras such as the SB Bunny 105. You see the picture there. Also, I was using the SB Bunny 305 Pro camera. You see the picture there. And the ZWO ASI 120mm mini camera. Those are the cameras that I have during that time. Next slide. That's from Facebook, of course, there. Now, this is the first picture I took of the trapezium. I call it during that time Orion Nebula, but it's the actual trapezium. Not the best picture, but it's something that I started experimenting with. As you see, that was in January 2022. I was using, this is the camera here. As a matter of fact, I didn't mention it. Let me see, the camera here. Oh yeah, it was a 120mm mini monochrome. And I used some filters. Wow, I didn't remember this. I used red, green, and oxygen 3 filters. I was just experimenting. I didn't know what I was doing. And I came up with this here. You can see some problems here on the focus. During that time, I didn't know what it was, but I realized it was back focus. That's why you got these stars here elongated. And I was working on the back focus after that. Right here, the equipment was a Celestron dew shield. You can read it there. I had a motor focus with the power USB cable. Of course, the visual back. I have a SB Bunny multiple 5 filter wheel. You see the picture right there. The filters, if I'm not mistaken, they were from Astromania. H-alpha, red, green, blue filters. Oxygen 3, if I'm not mistaken. I need to do some more digging on that part there. I was using the SB Bunny 0.5 reducer on the mini camera. I'm gonna put a picture right there to show you how it look. And of course, I got my laptop and stuff like that. Alright. Here it was worse. Here I use a different camera. The picture right there you can see is the ZWO ASI 174mm camera. Alright. And now on this horrible picture, during that time I didn't understand what was going on. I thought, whoa, that looked nice, I capturing something, it's in color, But right there, you can see that it was way out of focus. And eventually I noticed it was a back focus. I don't remember exactly the distance. Basically, you pull the camera back a little bit, adding some rings, and it will fix the issue there. I was taken in February 2022. I add the degrees there, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. I misspelled the word degrees. but you got a picture there, an idea. Now here, let me check back. 174, yeah, this is the 174 camera. Right there you can see the 174 camera in the back with the filter and the configuration right there. The 174 here, the filter wheel here, visual back. Ooh, I didn't remember this. I had a reducer corrector right there. Yeah, reducer corrector. And I'll show you details picture right now. Right there is the reducer corrector. Next picture is the visual back. You see it there. Next picture is the SB Bunny 5 wheel manual. It's not electronic, manual filter wheel right there. I still owe you the pictures of the filters. And then the next picture is the camera, the 174 monochrome camera. Coming back to this picture here on Facebook, a screenshot, and that's the horrible picture I took during that time hitting the Orion Nebula. Here you got the reducer, the visual back, the SB Bunny multiple 5 filter wheel, manual, not electronic, and the 174mm camera. Right here I did a check, and here I realized that what I was doing on the back focus, and actually you can see a better picture, even though you still have some elongated stars there, and I don't remember if that's because I was taking the exposures too long or whatever. So this is for March 2022. This one, the horrible one, was in 19 February 2022. So between 19 February 2022 and 4 March is when I was doing the research to see what was wrong, and I came up with this better picture. Not perfect, okay, but much better than the one before. There we go, lunar here. This is a picture of the moon using the equipment, the Wedge right there. And that's a demo of the moon there. I don't have any more technical details, but you can see the moon pretty nice there. Here, there we go. Here I got the issue I had before and after the back focus issue. Adding spacing. There were no collimation, it's just adding spacing, back focus, the back focus. Right there you have it. Again. Now here I was experimenting with filters. Of course the monochrome camera was, let me see if I see the specification, still the 174 monochrome camera. I was using oxygen 2, sulfur 2, hydrogen alpha filters, and experimented with different colors in Photoshop, and I got these 3 results here. I was using, of course, the Wedge with the NexStar8SE, 174 monochrome camera, the filters that I just mentioned. On the software, I'm always been using SharkCap. In this case, I took 1 dark and 1 flat. During that time, whatever the flat I understood was, and there were a total of 150 pictures, 50 per filter, and they were the format PNG, and that's how I came up with this result here of the Orion trapezium, a little more wild field of view. Supposedly here is the Hubble Space Telescope palette technique that I learned during that time. I don't even know if I did it right. Which the H alpha is assigned to color green, the oxygen 3 is assigned to blue, the channel blue, and the sulfur in red, according to what I did that moment. Here, when I stack both then down here is the CFHT palette experiment, which the H alpha filter is still assigned, it's assigned to red instead green. The oxygen filter is assigned to green instead blue, and the sulfur assigned to blue instead red, according to what I researched during that time. and I was just experimenting right there. Software SharkCap 2, the SharkCap software, and there you have it. Now, when I go to planetary here, I was using a different camera. It's called the SB Bunny 105. You got a picture right there. Now, with that camera, I came up with this experimenting with planets, Venus, which is the exposure too high, but during that time I didn't understood the concept well. Venus right here. You got Saturn. Mars, a little dot there, you know, out of focus, whatever, but that's what I got in that moment with the knowledge that I had in that moment. It was March 30, 2022. And you got those three terrible pictures that I took of the planets, but in that time, you know, experimenting, learning, I was very excited. Still, I get excited right now by watching it, you know. So there you have it. Planets, using the same setup that we've been talking. Now here you get the black and white pictures on each filter to give an example, because when you're taking pictures in monochrome, then you process them there in a different technique in Photoshop or PixInsight. I was using Photoshop at this time, still experimenting because I was learning a lot of things at the same time. Photoshop, just doing little shortcuts right there. But anyway, H-alpha filter, this is the way it looks with a cheap filter. Sulfur filter, this is how it looks. Oxygen, blue filter, and green filter. Just experimenting right there. I was using Deep Sky Stacker program to stack them all. Camera, the same camera, 174 monochrome camera. So I'll show you pictures of these sky objects, the moon, some planets, even stars, using this equipment. And so far, I'm gonna go run real quick on the journey of about a year and a half. Jupiter, yes. SB Bunny 305 Pro. When I took this picture, Jupiter, processed it, enhanced it as best as I could. That's another thing in this journey. You have to learn a lot of parts. Besides knowing how to combine the telescope hardware pieces, you have to, besides combining the hardware that I didn't have any idea, you have to figure out and do a little research here online. Then the processing part, which is you have to use some software and processing and get the picture more clear. That's another whole world, another world I was learning during that time at the same time. So it was a lot of stuff at the same time. By little chunks I started learning. Jupiter. During this time I was experimenting a lot with Jupiter. Why? Because Jupiter was available during that time. The more practice, I'll figure out what mistake I was doing and get better or whatever. 22 during the same time, I guess. I used on this specific one, I just used the H-alpha and oxygen 3 filters. And I came up with that color. And if I go closer, even though you got some artifacts, at least you can see the stars are not that perfect, but you know, during that time experimenting, not knowing what I was doing, I was like, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but yeah, you know, here it's not right, I guess, but you got some details there. You can see in the middle, stars there, separated. And there you have it. Now here, planet Jupiter again with the SB Bunny 305 Pro camera. Good camera again. I'm not complaining about it. Taken in November 2022. Of course, when you go closer, you can see more artifacts and defects, but this is what best I could do in that moment. Seeing conditions, I guess they were pretty good. Now here is when I start getting the hyperstar lens. Instead using the reducer corrector or without reducer corrector, and I got the camera in color 120. And the filter is an Antlia filter, tri-band RGB right there. Using this equipment, let me see what pictures I got. This is a different angles on the equipment, on the lens. Right there, you can see the lens in there. I was using a soft dew shield. Of course, you got the mount and the wedge the computer was using. Again, the same equipment there. Now, this is one of the first pictures that I took. Let me see. This is the Hyperstar. This is the first picture I took of the Alnitak star and the NGC 2024 or Flame Nebula. And being the first one, of course, I processed this picture and crop it. I was thinking, hey, how Hyperstar works. Not bad. And it really do work. Not the best one, but it was my first one there using the Hyperstar. Right here now, this configuration is F10. This is the configuration where you just hook the camera. This camera is called the SB Bunny 305 Pro. I got focus motor there. But here is straight to the visual back. And the focal ratio is F10. And you can get nice pictures in that configuration too. Here is two different more configurations. Over here I'm using a reducer. It changed the focal ratio to f6.3. And here I use a Hyperstar and it changed the focal ratio to 1.9. So before F10 configuration, F10 configuration, F6.3 configuration, and F1.9 configuration. So I have those three options to take pictures and experiment with it. Again, in summary, we were discussing different configurations using the Wedge. And my journey is about a year and a half or so. Using the F10 configuration with the Wedge, which is the camera straight in the back. This is the picture I got of Mars, which is, in my opinion, pretty decent. The second configuration using a focal ratio of f6.3, what that means is you add a reducer corrector lens here. The field of view is going to be bigger. And then I have a black and white camera, a monochrome camera right there with the filter wheel. And this is the result I have of the Orion Nebula trapezium. You know, the color may be wrong, but you can see details, still see some details there. And the third example, focal ratio 1.9 using the Hyperstar C8 version 4 lens right there. This is the Hyperstar right there. I'm using a tri-band RGB filter. And the camera, not cool camera, it's just a planetary camera on the Hyperstar. And this is the result I got of the Horsehead Nebula. Of course, you got some artifacts there. So this is the summary right there. As you saw those pictures there using the Wedge, the NexStar8SE telescope, 3 different configurations. I just want to share my experience there. All this work, I took it from Facebook. I use Facebook like a log entry of my works on real time. And then years, 2-3 years pass by, or 4.5, whatever. I go back and give you this demonstration here. Today's date is August 30, 2025. The time is 7:11. I am located in the United States, the state of Florida, the great state of Florida, Ormond Beach City. My name is Luis. Other than that, I wish you clear skies and thank you. I'll see you next.